What's good, YouTube family? What's good? What's good? What's good? I'm over here at my little spot. It looked like I'm just by a big old building, but I'm actually at the movie theater in the parking lot. There's a school over here and stuff like that. Target up there. Usually I'm on the other side where you can see the mountain, but the wind is blowing crucial over there. Um, it's pretty. It's actually cooler over there, but I just came over here because I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my people. Okay, so today, yes, today, your girl got another quick little story time for you. All right, I got a quick story time for you. I ain't gonna hold y'all up too long in this video, but like the story time I want to tell y'all about is pretty. I mean, it's relevant. It's always something that's relevant. It's stuff that I learned and been through in my life. And y'all see the title of the video and the thumbnail. Be careful about who you let in your house. Be careful about who you let move in with you. All that stuff. Just be careful. Just be careful with people. Even if they friends or whatever it is, like, just be careful who you let in your home. You know what I'm saying? This is a lesson learned. I done learned all throughout my life, all throughout my 20s, even my 30s. Be careful who you let in your house. I remember sometime, probably like my early 20s to my mid 20s, I was staying with my homeboy, the same one I used to stay with in Mississippi. It's the same one. But this time, he had a different baby mama. This was his first baby mama. I was going through stuff then as well. And, stuff with my family and stuff like that. So anyway, he offered to help me out because, I was having problems with living with my family. And this was around the time where I didn't have my own apartment yet. So this was around, I would say maybe I was like 24, 25. I'm 38 now. I just turned 38. Happy to see another year. I'm blessed to see another year. 38. About to hit 40. But we're going to keep going with the story. So, anyway, I was going through things with my family. I didn't want to stay with my mom, with my grandma, and stuff like that, and the drama and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm having problems at home. And he was like, why don't you move in? And he was like, you could move in here and da 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 da. Like my homeboy, he's very inviting. He's very, encouraging. Like he don't mind helping you out. That's just the type of heart he has. He has a good heart. He's a good man. So at first I was like, nah, I don't want to crowd you in your baby mama space and stuff like that. But then, I stayed a couple of other places and those places weren't right for me. All kind of stuff was going on there. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take my homeboy up on his offer and I'm going to just move in with him. Like, you feel me? I was like, I didn't hit rock bottom. That's what it was. I ain't going to lie. I didn't hit rock bottom. So my homeboy offered to help me out. So I moved in with him. This was when we were still living in Lancaster. Okay, the town that had no jobs. Okay, it was hard to get up out of there. It was hard to make it out there. You had nothing but the welfare and just living. Don't nobody want to just live. Like I wanna prosper. I want to grow. I want to get out of this town. I want to get out of this place. It was very difficult at the time. So anyway, I moved in with him. And I never forget, it was him and his baby mom just moved in these apartments. Now they were kind of ghetto apartments. They was in the hood. Now they was known to be in the hood, and these was some big old apartments. But they like the projects. But they were nice apartments. They were very nice, but ghetto fabulous. They had every gang up in there, every ratchet up in there. Very ghetto fabulous. Ghetto. The ghetto. It was ghetto, okay? Music bumping, you know, I ain't gonna say all hours of the night, but music bumping every time you go outside, okay. Ninjas hanging out, talking, dancing, laughing, talking, barbecuing, kids getting into it. And I was just like, well, I'm out here. You feel me? I'm out here. You feel me? So I was in the ghetto. I was in the ghetto. And I accepted it at that time. But shortly after, I got the hell out of there. But anyway, so it was kind of ghetto, but still nice apartments. You know, they were big apartments, but kind of ghetto. But anyway, Rico, my homeboy Rico and his baby mom, his first one, they moved into these apartments. Now they had about, what, I want to say 3 kids together at the time. I think they had about 3 kids together. Like, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 4. I don't know. I think it was 3 kids. But anyway, they had just moved in, and then her mom, his baby mom, mother, she moved in the same apartment building, but had a different unit. So her mom was there, and her and Rico was there. So boom, they had a nice apartment. Now with the mom, because they came from LA, they moved from LA to Lancaster, and you know their roots was in LA. So they moved to Lancaster, moved in these apartments, and I guess her mom needed help paying for her apartment because she had a 2-bedroom. So anyway, I guess she knew this dude. Now this dude was very, I want to say, he not somebody I would even let in my house. I wouldn't even let him walk in my house, how he looked it. Like, he looked like he had just got out of jail. Very big, buff dude. Brown skin, long hair. I think he had dreads. Very intimidating personality. To me, he wasn't really friendly. He didn't give off a friendly vibe. But for whatever reason, him and my homeboy hit it off. You know, he was cool. Maybe because that was, you know, my homeboy's mom's, you know, whatever. Maybe the correlation why he hit it off with him was because he knew that was the lady he was staying with was her daughter's, you know, baby dad. So maybe that's why he got along with him. So anyway, all I know was she moved this man in, and he stayed there most of the time because she still lived in LA. I'm talking about my homeboy's mom. She still lived in LA and I think worked in LA. So she was transport from LA to Lancaster. And when she would be in Lancaster, she would go to her apartment. So boom. So as time went on, I would see the mom every now and then. But then as time went on, I didn't really see the mom no more. And I was like, hey, what happened to your mom? And my homeboy wife told me flat out, she left. She moved back to LA. I was like, what? I was like, for real? I was like, didn't she have an apartment in here? She was like, yeah. And I was like, wasn't that dude staying with her? And she said, yeah, that's why she left. I was like, what? And she said, yeah, that dude was just, you know, intimidating her. She didn't feel comfortable in her own house. So she left. I was like, ain't no way. I would have kicked that ninja out or had one of my brothers, my sons, my cousins, hey homie, you got to get your and get up out of here. You feel me? So he ran her out of her own house. Because I would see the mom, I didn't see her often, but I would see her every now and then, or see my homeboy's baby mom go do something with her mom or whatever it was. But after a while, I did not see the mom no more, and my homeboy baby mom told me, yeah, she left and moved back to LA because she left that house because she didn't feel comfortable in her own house. The dude was so intimidating. Like, he ran her up out of her own house. And I was like, wow. And I was like, I can see that. I was like, I can see that. He's a very big dude, tattoos all over his face. He was a tall man that did big and buff at the same time. So it's just like, and then you use that mentality towards the woman that helped you and housed you. And she just said, the hell with it. He could have that apartment. So she let it go and left it to him. Now, I don't think it was legally. I think she just left because the management didn't even know she left. So this is my story with the man. So one day, me and my homeboy go over to, now it's the man's house because the mom left. My homeboy's baby mom's, her mother left the apartment, right? Because of that man. So it was his apartment now. So he thought. So we go over there, me and my homeboy. Now, we go out to the front, little porch. It's not a big porch or whatever, but, big enough to where they could set like a little table and they play their dominoes. So they was playing dominoes. Boom. I was sitting on the staircase, and I was sitting on the staircase on my phone. This is when, what was it? Was it Kick? I remember, or AIM. It was either Kick or AIM I was on. I think I was on AIM. Y'all know that little email thing and the little chat thing, and you talk to different people, and that's what I was on. I would do that type of stuff all the time, y'all. I don't do that now. But I was on AIM, talking to different women and stuff. That's when I was in the LGBTQ lifestyle. Don't judge me. So I was on AIM talking to different girls and stuff like that. So anyway, boom, they playing dominoes. I'm on my phone on AIM. So all I know is my homeboy said something to me. And at the time, at times I was rude to my homeboy. I ain't gonna lie. My mom always said, I don't know how you have friends. You be so rude to your friends. You be calling them punks and calling them the F word, the faggot word. But I've been delivered. I don't talk to them like that no more. Okay, I've been delivered. Cause I would do that. I kind of was mean. I was mean. You feel me? But my homeboy, he would brush it off. Men are very. A lot of men are very. I'll say this. A lot of men, to me, are very passive. If they see a woman going off, that's why they don't pay no attention to their baby mama when their baby mama going off on them, or their mama going off on them, cussing them out. A man would just be like, you tripping. That's what my brothers do all the time. I never had a problem with my brothers because my brothers are so laid back. They are so chill. If you have a problem with them, then you're the problem. Because they literally just chill. Like, they don't start no issue. Like, it's like they're there to serve you. You feel me? It's like they got the heart of God. Like, I'll say that about my brothers. Like, my brothers in real life, even my homeboy, they're very chill type dudes, chill type personalities, to where you can't bump heads with them because the personality is chilled and laid back. They too laid back for that. So it's like you can't start an issue with them. But when my sister would go off on them and stuff like that, see, you don't do this, bam, 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 and he walk away and be like, you tripping. You feel me? He like, you tripping, girl. You feel me? And he be like, and I remember my older brother, I'm the oldest, you feel me, out of all my mom's kids, but the oldest boy, that's my brother now, my oldest, youngest brother, my sister would be going off on him, and he'd be like, I don't argue, and he'll just walk away. You feel me? And I was like, Clarence, I need to learn from you. I was like, I need to learn from you. I be arguing with people. I ain't got time, man. I ain't got time for that. But anyway, that was a little side note I didn't branch off on. But I feel like men are very chilled and laid back. So my homeboy said something to me, and I had an attitude when I answered him or whatever. And I was like, what? I was like, nigga, no. What? You feel me? I was like, nigga, no. You feel me? Whatever he asked me, I think I was negative, and I was like, nigga, no. No. And got back on my phone and started, you feel me? Continue aiming. Continue on aim. And then I noticed, I felt a strong, this is how you know life is spiritual. I felt a strong, it was like silence after that. And I felt this man staring at me. I felt eyes burning into my soul. Like I just felt somebody staring at me. And then all of a sudden I look up, and the big intimidating dude, he was just looking at me so evil. This is how I know he had an evil spirit too. He was just looking at me, staring at me so evil. And then he was just like, the way he looked, it was just so evil. And then what he said to me, I got the hell up out of there, because he said it. He looked at me, and he was like, looking at me so evil, like, just an intimidating, evil stare down, just at my soul. Because I'm looking down, and I think he even muttered something under his breath. I think he said it a couple of times, because I'm looking down at my phone, I'm not noticing he talking to me. And then he said something to where it got my attention, and I looked up, and he was just staring at me evil. And then he said, get out. And that's the type of tone he said it in. That's the type of look and posture he said it in. He was just like, get out. And I said, shit, you ain't got to tell me type. I hopped up off them stairs, and I started walking down. I got the hell up out of there. I got the fuck. Like them country folks in Louisiana. I got the fuck. I got the fuck on. You feel me? I got up out of there. You feel me? He wasn't about to beat the brakes off of me. You feel me? I said, no, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I sure did. Shoot. Anybody tell me they see a big old scary man and he looking at them evil and he say, get out, you ain't gonna listen? That ain't somewhere I want to be anyway, and I'm not welcome. Cool, this ain't my crib. You feel me? I don't want to be in your presence anyway. I think you're evil. I think you're scary. I think you're wrong for scaring that lady out of this house. And this ain't even your house. Your name ain't on the lease. So anyway, I didn't say any of that, but those are just my thoughts. I'm like, okay, cool. He tell me to leave. He didn't have to tell me twice. I mean, he did, because I didn't hear him at first. I didn't know he was talking to me. But when I got the unction that he was talking to me, I looked at him and he looking at me evil, and he said, get out. I said, ain't got to tell me twice. I got the boots to the ground and started walking. You feel me? I didn't want to find out nothing. I didn't want to find out why he wanted me to leave. I just knew the man was evil and he had some type of evil spirit that he was dealing with, and I was like, I'm out this thing. I ain't about to deal with that man. He ain't about to beat the brakes off of me. You feel me? And I think too, maybe he didn't like how I talked to my homeboy. Maybe he didn't like how I gave my homeboy attitude. But my homeboy wasn't tripping. He never tripped off me. My homeboy, like, I'm like his sister. He pays me no mind. You know, the men don't pay us no mind when us females have our attitudes and we be on our period. They literally do not pay us any mind. But this man, it was that jailhouse mentality too. Like thinking, oh, I don't like how you acting, and you know, it's just like you intimidate people for respect. It's like I don't like that. I don't rock with that. You feel me? Like I don't rock that. I don't rock with that jailhouse mentality, because all they do is intimidate people with their size, and you know, that's all you doing. All you can do is try to threaten me by putting hands on me. Go put hands on another man. Go do that. You know what I'm saying? Because they think they get respect like that, and it's like, bro, that's lame. It's lame, bruh. Like, you demand respect, so if you don't get the respect you think you deserve, you're gonna beat somebody, and it's like lame. So anyway, I got up out of there, and for a couple of days, I didn't stay at my homeboy house. I think I was mad at him for that. I was like, yeah, nigga. You gonna let that nigga talk to me like that? And he was like, man, I didn't know he was gonna act like that. He was like, I don't even know bro like that. I just went over there and played dominoes, and then he was tripping like that. I was like, nah, nigga, you could have stood up for me. You let that big old nigga talk to me like that and kick me out. And I was like, nigga, hell nah. Man, he was like, what you want me to do? He would have whipped my ass too. You feel me? Because my homeboy, he's just as small as me. We both tiny people. We both, you feel me, like a twig. Like, what we gonna do against this big old buff man that's like 6'5", 6'6", and you feel me? Jail penitentiary mentality, tattoos all on his face, probably violent and aggressive because that's what his personality gave. And I was like, you know what? You right. I was like, you right, nigga. Cause what could you have done, to be honest? You know, cause I was like, nah, nigga, you didn't have my back and da this. And he like, I didn't know he was gonna do all that. He was like, nah. And then my homeboy even apologized. That's how humble my homeboy is. That's how I knew I was wrong. My homeboy was apologizing. Cause I'm like, yeah, I was like, nah, nigga, you right. It ain't your fault, nigga. I was like, man, you didn't know he was gonna do that. You feel me? And then I was like, even if, you feel me, you did stand up to him, he probably would have beat you down too, and me. Let's be honest. So I was like, yeah, nigga, you know what? I was wrong. You feel me? I don't know if I apologized to him, but eventually, you know, I talked to him or whatever, and we talked about it. And he was like, I didn't know he was gonna act like that, man. He was like, you know, it ain't my fault. You feel me? I'm like, I know, nigga. You feel me? But I was just mad. You feel me? I was just mad that I just felt like my homeboy should have took up for me. But I'm like, hold on. At the same time, I'm like, what could my homeboy have done anyway in that moment? My homeboy is not bigger than that dude. That dude probably would have beat Rico down and me down if he wanted to. You feel me? So I'm like, yeah, I ain't about to do all that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we squashed it. We got over it, whatever. And yeah, after that, I never went back to that man's house. I think my homeboy asked me again, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm tripping, but I think he went over there again, and I said, hell no. And I was like, nigga, you go over there solo. I was like, you going to that man's house? I was like, no, I'm not going. And he was like, all right, I'll come back. Because I used to smoke like crazy back then. And I was like, yeah, I'll wait on you to come back. And, you know, I was smoking my homeboy or whatever and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I'll wait on you to come back because you going over there. No, I ain't messing with that man no more. Big intimidation. He won. You win. I was like, I ain't dealing with him. So anyway, as time went on, I was still living with my homeboy. I think I stayed with my homeboy like maybe like 8 months, maybe 9 months or something like that, or whatever. And I think I ended up moving somewhere else, or I think I moved back in with my grandma. I think I moved back in with my grandma. So I stayed with my homeboy a few months, and before I even left, we found out that the big scary man got kicked out of that apartment by management. They found out, because I was like, how he even paying the rent? Because she didn't leave the lease in his name. It was never in his name. So I'm like, how did he pay his rent? But you know what I thought about? Maybe they had a drop box, because my apartments, we have drop boxes where you could drop off you know, your rent or letters or whatever important paperwork in the little drop box in the apartments. I think most apartments got that, because even my one in Texas, they had one of those. So Yeah, I think maybe he was paying the rent like that and maybe signing her name and putting the rent in the Dropbox. Because I was wondering, I was like, how did he pay all that? I was like, how did he pay that rent all that time? I was like, if his name not on the lease, because that was the thing. I was like, how he even staying in there if his name not on the lease? I was like, I didn't understand that. I was like, oh, he got to be this some type of loop he's using. Well, they found out. They must have checked them cameras. They must have got wind that the woman had left the apartment. She left the unit, and once they found out that man was there, or they could have saw him, and they was like, "Oh no, eviction." They sent him a note on the door. Eviction. You gotta vacate the premises, and he was kicked out of that apartment. And hey, that's how the cookie crumble. You feel me? But I just want to say too, that just goes to show you have to do things right. And then two, it wasn't right for him to run that lady out of her own apartment. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't right for him to do that. You know, so yeah, he ended up losing that apartment. He ended up, I don't know where he went or whatever. Didn't care either. I remember seeing him on the bus. I used to catch the bus a lot, and I remember seeing him and he listening to his music, got his earphones in, and he just being all extra and like singing, rapping the song, and I'm just like, I was like, no, he didn't. And then we got off at the same stop because I think this is when he was still in the apartment, and this is after he kicked me out. Okay, so I think he was still in the apartment at this time. This was before they kicked him out. And I remember seeing him. I had no words for the man. I had nothing to say. I didn't even want to look his way. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even acknowledge him. That's how much I didn't want to deal with the man. I wouldn't even acknowledge his presence. I'll just be like, I'm trying to ignore him, but I know he see me. I know he recognized my face. And anyway, we get off at the same stop at the Beechwood Apartments. That's where I stayed, and that's where he stayed at the time before he got kicked out. So I get off the bus. I see him getting off behind me, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, this nigga. He walking behind me. He know it's me. He can't. You feel me? I know you remember this face. You kicked me out. You feel me? You kicked me off your property, which wasn't really your property, but whatever. So I'm walking back to my house, well, my homeboy house where I was staying at the time, and the dude, he sees me, he see me, but I'm like kind of ignoring him or whatever, and then he catch up with me, and he come on the side of me, and he like, hey, something, and like trying to make chat with me, trying to make chit chat with me, and I'm like, oh nah, and he like, oh, and da 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 this, da 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 that, and I'm like, oh, okay. You feel me? I'm like, nigga, get out my face. I don't want nothing to do with you, nigga. You use a dirty, shisty snake type person. I'm like, I don't want no dealings with you. I don't want no dealings with you. I don't want no ties to you, bro. You feel me? I'm like, get on out my face, bro. Like, I'm not in your property. You can't intimidate me now, homeboy. You feel me? You feel me? I'm just like, man, go on. He like, yeah, you know this? And I'm like, no. Oh, no. You feel me, nigga? Get out of my face. You feel me? I ain't want no dealings with him. So anyway, boom. I got away from him, went to the house. And yeah, shortly after, he got that eviction notice. Vacate the premises. And you feel me? And that's my story, y'all. Be careful on who you let in your house. Because this woman had a nice brand new apartment, man. Nice brand new apartment. And she let the wrong person in, and the man took over her apartment. And he eventually got kicked out. But she could have still had her apartment had she not let that man in. And she was probably too scared of him to tell him to leave. So she said, F it, he could have it. Because I'm not going to be living there no more. And he could pay the rent himself. And I guess he was at the time. But, you know, that didn't last because the apartment wasn't his apartment originally. You know, it wasn't his apartment. But that just goes to show y'all, do not just let anybody in your apartment. Don't, even if you probably knew a person from around the way, but you don't know them well, don't just let them in your house. Talking about, oh, you want to help me pay rent? No, God will help you pay the rent, okay? God will help you pay the rent. Don't just let any old body in your house, because I'm telling you, that's the biggest mistake you can do, is just let anybody in your house, and you have a person in your house that's making you uncomfortable to the point to where you want to leave now. You know, it's definitely not right. But I told that story so people could be aware. You know, yeah, be careful. Be careful on who you let in your home. Be careful who you socialize with. Be careful who you get to know, because those, it cannot be the right person. It most likely could be a person that's looking to use you. It could be a person that's looking to get something out of you for what you have, you know. And I definitely think that man was wrong for running that lady out of her house. But all I know is the joke was on him at the end of the day, because they end up kicking him out. And what you put out in life, it will return back to you. So make sure you do people right, you treat people right, and God will put blessings in your path, you know. I feel like that was not right what he did. And you know, I think he definitely needed some deliverance, you know. But you know, I pray for the man. I pray that he's good now, whatever. I don't wish no ill will on him, despite the negative stuff I experienced with him. But yeah, that's my story, y'all. Be careful on who you let in your apartment. Be careful who you let in your house, period. Because it could be somebody that's just not, that don't have the right intentions. You know, that want to punk you out of your house. Or sometimes you invite people over and they act like they don't want to leave. And it's like, when you going home? And they just think, ha ha, they want to continue drinking, smoking, or whatever, partying. And it's like, when you going home? And they act like they don't want to leave. And then that's when you got to be like, well, I'm about to lay down. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, y'all. That's my experience with that. I've seen it, and I also dealt with it in my own life. But yeah, y'all, that's that story. So like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know, have y'all ever been in that type of situation where you had somebody in your home and they ran you up out of your house, or it was hard to get them out of your house? Let me know in the comments, because I know so many people went through this. My mom went through it. I went through it. So many people, man. So many people went through this type of thing. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, like the video, y'all. Share the video. Until the next time, y'all, I'ma holler at y'all. Peace out.